125 million people worldwide depend on coffee for income, but most farmers have never seen an espresso machine. They grow for a market that adjusts prices faster than they can harvest. That disconnect explains the delicate and brutal truth of global economic cooperation. A farmer you've never met picked your morning. Somewhere in the highlands of Ethiopia, a man you'll never meet woke before sunrise to handpick red coffee cherries under a rising sun. He doesn't speak your language. He's never been to your country. But this morning he helped you wake up. Coffee is the second most traded commodity on earth after oil. Over 125 million people rely on it for their livelihood. Most of them smallholder farmers working on plots smaller than 2 acres. Countries like Brazil, Vietnam, Colombia, and Ethiopia supply more than 75% of the world's beans. Yet the people behind your coffee earn just 7–10% of what you pay at the counter. In Ethiopia, considered coffee's birthplace, over 15 million people depend on the bean for survival. Most farming is manual. There are no machines, no irrigation systems, no GPS-guided harvesters. It's just hands, patience, and tradition passed down through generations. Farmers prune trees, monitor rainfall, and adjust harvest dates based on instinct and microclimate. Why does this matter? Because this is specialization, a key economic principle. The Ethiopian farmer doesn't need to know how to roast beans, design a logo, or run a cafe. He just needs to grow what he grows best and trade with others who do the same. That's comparative advantage in action. And here's the wild part. The farmer doesn't know you exist. He doesn't have to. Through prices, trade networks, and market signals, his beans flow toward where they're most valued, even if it's a coffee shop in Tokyo, New York, or Milan. This is global coordination without global command. You didn't sign a contract with him. You didn't schedule a delivery, and yet somehow your morning cup arrived. Now we follow the bean's journey as it crosses oceans, borders, and companies, with no single person directing the route. The bean crosses oceans without a master plan. Once plucked, the coffee cherry doesn't head straight to your cup. It enters a global relay race. The farmer processes it, either sun-dried or wet-washed, then hands it off to a local cooperative, a middleman, or a private exporter. From there, the bean's journey begins, not by design, but by demand. Coffee is grown in over 70 countries near the equator, but consumed mostly in North America, Europe, and East Asia. That means it must travel thousands of miles before it ever hits a grinder. And it does, without a single person overseeing the full route. Once sold, beans are bagged in 60-kilogram jute sacks, packed into shipping containers, and trucked to ports in Mombasa, Santos, Ho Chi Minh City, or Cartagena. From there, they board cargo vessels bound for Rotterdam, Hamburg, Los Angeles, or Busan. Each ship might carry 40,000 bags of beans, alongside electronics, timber, and textiles, crossing oceans with staggering efficiency. Yet no one plans this symphony from the top. It's coordinated by prices, contracts, trust, and logistics networks refined over decades. The International Coffee Organization reports that over 11 million metric tons of coffee were exported globally in 2022, and every bean had its own invisible thread pulling it toward higher value. Even insurance markets play a hidden role. If a shipment sinks, burns, or rots, cargo insurers, like Lloyd's of London, reimburse losses. In the 1700s, this risk-sharing system helped expand global trade. It still protects your latte today. The bean may also pass through commodity traders like Louis Dreyfus, Newman, or Olam, companies that operate across 60-plus countries, smoothing out regional shortages and gluts. These firms don't grow coffee or sell it to you. They just move it where it's wanted, faster than governments ever could. And that's the miracle, a completely decentralized chain, stitched together by millions of independent decisions, all converging toward one thing: your morning routine. Next, we step into the chaotic world of pricing and risk, where the value of your next cup changes with the weather, the magic of prices, and the risky roast. By the time your coffee bean hits the roaster, its price may have changed dozens of times, and none of that is random. Coffee is one of the most actively traded commodities in the world, with its value shifting minute by minute on futures exchanges in New York, ICE, and London, LIF. So how does it work? Futures markets allow buyers and sellers to lock in prices months in advance, protecting themselves from sudden shocks. A cafe in Paris might agree to buy Guatemalan beans at $1.80 per pound 3 months before harvest. If prices spike due to drought or political instability, they're protected. If prices drop, the farmer still gets paid what was promised. This is how risk is managed in a decentralized system. The weather in Brazil, by far the world's largest producer, can move global prices overnight. In 2021, a frost in Brazil's coffee belt destroyed millions of trees. Within days, Arabica prices surged 35%, and companies like Starbucks quietly raised menu prices. But it's not just weather. Labor strikes in Colombia, shipping delays in the Suez Canal, even fertilizer shortages all ripple into your cup. The invisible hand coordinates it all through prices. When prices rise, more farmers plant. When they fall, some switch crops, no committee meets, no ministry issues orders. The system adjusts itself. Roasters must gamble wisely. A large company like Lavazza or Nestle might hedge its purchases across multiple origins, splitting risk between Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Small batch roasters, meanwhile, pay premiums for specialty grade beans rated above 85 by the Specialty Coffee Association. Here's the paradox. While prices seem cold and impersonal, they're what ensure farmers get paid, roasters stay afloat, and your favorite cafe survives inflation. The cafe that knows your name, but not your bean. By the time you take your first sip, that 30-cent scoop of beans has transformed into a $5 cup of coffee. What happened? You're not just paying for caffeine, you're paying for real estate, design, wages, milk, taxes, Wi-Fi, branding, and the 40-minute seat you occupy while answering emails. This is where consumer value perception meets retail economics. Let's break it down. The average U.S. cafe sources green coffee at about $3 per pound, which yields roughly 40 cups. That's 7-8 cents per cup, pre-roasting. After roasting, packaging, and shipping, that input cost lands around 30-40 cents per drink. But that's just the beginning. A cafe in a city like New York or London may pay $300, $600 per square foot in rent annually. Baristas earn between $15, $25 per hour. Add equipment costs, an espresso machine like a La Marzocco Linea PB runs $18,000, $25,000. Milk and alternative options, another 20-40 cents per cup. Throw in POS systems, payroll taxes, insurance, cleaning, waste, cups, lids, and marketing. Suddenly, each cup needs to earn $3, $4 just to break even. And then there's the psychology. Starbucks, for instance, isn't selling coffee. It's selling an identity, an experience, a third space between home and work. That's why the average Starbucks customer visits 6 times per month, and their loyalty program boasts over 31 million active members as of 2023. Price isn't set by bean cost, it's set by what you're willing to pay for comfort, consistency, and branding. It's why a cappuccino in Milan costs €1.50, while a nearly identical one in Tokyo or LA might cost triple. Here's the twist. The closer the product gets to you, the more value it collects from everything around it, not the thing itself. Now we'll uncover how this entire supply chain, farmer to foam, is held together not by force or planning, but by mutual self-interest. The invisible hand behind every sip. No one planned your cup of coffee, not the farmer in Ethiopia, not the port worker in Brazil, and certainly not the barista in San Francisco. And yet, there it is, hot, customized, and on time. This is Adam Smith's invisible hand in action. Smith, writing in The Wealth of Nations, 1776, argued that individuals pursuing their own interests unintentionally promote the good of society. That's not philosophy, it's your latte. The farmer wants to earn a living, the shipper wants to fill a container, the cafe wants foot traffic. Each acts independently. The result? A global network that delivers a fresh cup to your table. Consider this, the coffee in your hand may have been grown in Vietnam, shipped via Singapore, roasted in Germany, packaged in California, brewed in Brooklyn, and yet nobody issued a master plan. No central committee, no all-knowing coordinator, just millions of tiny decisions reacting to prices, availability, and incentives. When the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted global shipping, green coffee prices surged over 76% in 2021. Freight costs quadrupled, yet somehow most cafes adapted. Some changed suppliers, some shortened menus, others raised prices. The system flexed, not because it was ordered to, but because decentralized actors adjusted locally to global signals. This coordination happens without consensus. The truck driver doesn't need to love coffee. The dock worker doesn't need to know who will drink it. They just need incentives and a framework that lets them respond to changing needs. In the USSR, where central plans tried to replicate this process, food shortages were common despite detailed production quotas. In 1980, the average Soviet citizen consumed just 1.5 kilograms of coffee per year, compared to 4 or 5 kilograms in most market economies. Why? Because planners can assign quotas, but not replicate dynamic demand. Free markets aren't perfect, but they're uniquely adaptive, and your coffee cup proves it. Now we'll ask a final question. What kind of system makes this invisible cooperation possible, and why does it break down when freedom disappears? Why coffee only works in a free economy? Your morning cup relies on something most people never think about: freedom. Not abstract freedom, but the practical kind. Property rights, open trade, price signals, and voluntary exchange. Without these, the system collapses. And we know this because it's happened again and again. Take Venezuela, once a coffee powerhouse. In the 1970s, it exported over 1.2 million 60 kg bags of coffee per year. But after decades of state intervention, fixed prices, currency controls, and farm nationalizations, its coffee sector crumbled. By 2019, exports dropped below 300,000 bags. Farmers were paid less than production costs. Many abandoned coffee entirely for survival crops, or fled the country. Contrast that with Colombia, where government supported cooperatives 12 million bags, sustaining over 500,000 farming families. Even amid global volatility, Colombian farmers can access credit, tech, and international buyers because they operate in a relatively open, decentralized market. Why the difference? Because economic freedom isn't just a theory, it's the infrastructure that holds everything else in place. The Heritage Foundation's Index of Economic Freedom consistently shows a strong correlation between open economies and higher GDP, longer life expectancy, better environmental outcomes, and you guessed it, stronger coffee industries. Countries like Switzerland, New Zealand, and Singapore, which rank high on economic freedom, all enjoy thriving cafe cultures supported by efficient import-export frameworks. The invisible hand needs legal scaffolding. Property rights protect farmers from land seizures. Contracts give traders confidence. Stable currencies allow forward pricing. Freedom to trade ensures beans get from A to B to espresso shot. Where these break down, like in Zimbabwe, North Korea, or Sudan, so does coffee. Supply chains wither, quality declines, variety disappears, the cup vanishes. So the next time you sip your coffee, remember, it's not just flavor in that cup. It's trust, freedom, and millions of voluntary decisions stitched together into one global act of cooperation. You've just seen how one cup of coffee tells the story of the entire global economy. If you're ready to discover the hidden forces behind everything you consume, tap the screen now. Subscribe for more deep dives into the world behind the world.